Hi, this is a celebration of the video essays that Brandon Wheeler did in his LA10 honors class. So, Brandon, what is a video essay and why did you choose this as a way for students to demonstrate their learning?
So, a video essay is kind of an essay where they take the ideas and thoughts they would share in an essay, and instead of writing it out in paragraph form, they more create a visual and narrate us through it as if they were presenting it to a group of people.
So, can you explain the assignment parameters you created in Canvas?
So, in Canvas, I told them to use Adobe Spark and Screencastify to kind of create this video. So I had them, the topic was if we should be loyal to a government that we can't trust. And you see in the directions, I kind of left them step by step directions of what they needed to do for each part to be successful, as well as an embedded NPR piece for them to use as a source. You can see how I set up my points. I have it set up so they submit it as a text entry to embed the video directly into Canvas, so you don't have to worry about if it's compatible or not. And I chose to have them do this on Adobe Spark as a new website because then they could walk us through their pieces of the essay and they controlled when the slides changed instead of having to worry about timing it out in a Spark video. So I had them use an Adobe Spark website to do this. And I showed them an example that I created in Adobe Spark, kind of about the life lessons that you can learn through watching Parks and Recreation.
Okay, so in this way, you kind of modeled that notion of thinking aloud for them, how you'd use the platform to help them talk about how you, well, go through that so we can see that.
So I modeled that your introduction would be like your title and your thesis, where you would tell your audience what the main point of your essay is. Then you would have, like an essay, it would be like an essay only in a linear format. So you'd have your introduction where you introduce the reader to the topic. Then you'd have your main points that you wanted to get across and your commentary on each main point. And once you got through your three main points, then you would have your conclusion and the end. So I kind of liked the linear format to it in that they could visually see where each part of the essay would go in the glide show as they were creating it.
Okay, and then once they created the glide show, you said then they taped it so it was truly seen as a video?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so before we look at the student example, could you talk about a little bit about any kind of adjustments you made actually on the fly while you were doing the instruction on this piece?
Yeah, so with my second hour class, I kind of gave them more freedom, and more freedom was very dangerous for them because a lot of them struggled not having the parameters and not having more defined guidelines as to how to do this. So then when I went in with fourth hour to do the same lesson, I was very clear about what each piece of technology would be and how you would organize your Spark to match what you would put in an essay and why you would use, a website instead of a video. And because of those adjustments, fourth hour was able to better use their time because they understood why and were more able to understand the process of it, and it wasn't as much of a figure it out as we go.
Excellent. So you have a student example to show us?
I do have a student example that was created by one of my students in fourth hour, and I'll just play a little bit of it here.
Trustworthy government, loyal citizens.
And she's going down her glide show so we can see her main
Since
points.
the beginning of human society, there has been governments. Governments that have been good, governments that have been bad, overthrown governments, and authority that has shifted from sovereign to president. The question I propose today is, should people be loyal to a government they can't be trusted? Now, with the support of its citizens, a government can thrive and a government can be successful.
And this would be her
But
narrating her
Should
introduction
a
while we're
citizen
seeing this
be loyal
picture.
to a government that can't be trusted? Now, one of the key parts of this is loyal. And what does loyal mean? According to dictionary.com, loyal is characterized by showing
Wonderful. All right. So you've got these wonderful essays. How did you then, once you had finished the project and the students had this experience, how did you have them reflect on the process? What kind of feedback did you get from the students?
So I created a Google form asking students for feedback because I wanted to know from their perspective how things went and what I could do better. So I asked for some feedback on the process, and you'll see a student here giving me some feedback. So I asked them, what their overall thoughts were, if it was easier or harder, what they were successful at, what they were most challenged by, and then if they felt that it was a good way to demonstrate their learning. And it was good to get that feedback. You can see here, this person was challenged by incorporating quotes, but also found it easier because they were verbalizing and sharing their ideas instead of writing it out. So it's a different medium for them to demonstrate their knowledge. And it was good to get that feedback, which ranged from, some students loving it to some students never wanting to do another one in their life. But all of the feedback was good and will help me as I continue to try to adapt the technology in the classroom.
Awesome. So after your reflections and the students' reflections on this assignment, what changes would you make for next time you use the video essay?
So one change I am doing with my next class that's doing this is I'm having them write out their thought process and what they want to say before they jump into the technology. Because if they know what they want to say and they have the content already figured out, that'll make it easier for them to kind of align the video and their visuals with what they're saying. So I'm having them kind of flip what I did there, where they're actually going to create their content first and then work on the visual.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing us all about the video essays that you did in your class.
No problem.